might be able to see right here, I'm sitting on my 1972 John Deere 400 snowmobile. And you guys have probably seen it in the background. Probably been like, when are we gonna get to see that one? Well, here's the story. A buddy of mine gave this thing to me, kinda. He let me have it. He said he got it for me to ride with him. And basically a guy delivered it for a fee and he got it for free. But it never ran. It sat out in the back of his lot for a couple years and we messed around with it. We tried pulling it out of the lot one time and bent it all the weird shapes and stuff like that, but we had it running for a second at his shop. His shop got moved. I got the sled. I lived in the suburbs. I had nowhere to ride it. But then we moved out here, so I can ride it. It does run. I got it running in my garage at the old house. But it's been a while. And I'm going to try to get her going again. And I'll show you guys what I'm working on. I did a little bit of a carburetor switcheroo, so I'm trying to get that to work because the old Walbro carb that's on these things is like a stack of plates and diaphragms and stuff, and it just wasn't working. It was all rusty inside. Wasn't worth messing with. Went on eBay, got a pair of Mikuni 34s off of an Articat of some vintage, and I figured I'd put one on the John Deere and have a spare for parts. So I did that. I put it all together. I had it smoking up the whole garage and everything. Yeah, so that's kind of where we are. And I'm trying to get the throttle to allow full throttle and idle at the same time. I had to swap the grip and the throttle lever to even make it work with the Mikuni cable. And that's what I'm working with. So let's see if we can get that throttle straightened out and maybe rip this thing around the yard a little bit. We got enough snow to actually do something with here, so that's why I'm doing this. Alright, we're staring right down the throat of my Mikuni from an old Articat. I had to pick up a pulse pump, you can see that down there. And that all works good. It pulls fuel and everything like it should. The old Walbro had the fuel pump built into the carb, which was part of the problem. But I gotta see if I can get this throttle lever to work correctly and still give me full throttle and idle. And I got this sick lowrider bike grip because I had to ditch the factory plastic grips. So I'm gonna make that one match this one at some point, but I just want to roll up to the bar in this thing and park next to these new Polarises and who knows what, and make people wonder a little bit. So I'm gonna go ahead and mess around with this throttle, see if I can get it to work, throw you guys on a little time lapse, and come back in a minute when we got some new information. Alright, I got 3 throttle levers here. This one on the left is the one that came with the assembly that I bought, and it has a really deep groove for the cable. I think that's what was keeping me from getting full throttle or getting idle. The second one is the one I got off eBay, a replacement part for Kawasaki something or other, something with a Mikuni. And this one on the right is the original John Deere one with a different little cable slot for a different barrel. And if I have to, I could probably modify that to work, but I'm going to try to get this middle one to work. There's 2 pinholes in here. One goes through and one doesn't, so we might have to make that one go through. But for now, I'm going to try see if that does anything for me. It's definitely a lot closer to idle. Definitely get wide open. But it doesn't come all the way down. It comes way farther than the other one did. And if I take the lever off, you can see that it drops down a little farther. I don't know if that's going to make a huge difference or not. I mean, I don't know where this thing's going to idle anyway. So I might just drill that hole through and see if I can get it running and see what it does. If it's good enough, good enough's good enough for me, I guess. Okay, here's the action I'm getting on the throttle. Just like that. Now let's see if we can get this thing to fire. I can smell fuel. Might need a little help though. Plugs are a little wet. Maybe a lot wet. It would seem we have no spark. Down here cleaning points, and then I encountered the problem. I cleaned the points. That made no difference. I was just turning it over with a drill. And I unplugged the ignition switch because usually that'll bypass the whole kill system. That didn't make a difference. And then I found under a bunch of tape these wires. The red wire to the coil was just broken. So I got to figure out which one of these into this plug that the red wire connects to and connect that up. So guess I found something. Alright, I went ahead and guessed. I just matched colors. It's like elementary school. Red wire was broken. I could see a couple copper strands hanging out of the red wire in the connector. So I did a little splice job. You guys can cringe all you want, but do you want to see this thing run today or not? Still no spark. Well, after a bunch of playing around, I redid the other connection. I redid that connection down at the connector. this connector because I can use my hands too. And I still had nothing. And then I got a little bit more aggressive on the points because I checked with the ohm meter and they were like showing like they were shorted. So I went in there with this little thin screwdriver and just went back and forth a few times. And now check this out. We got sparks. Sparks are flying, so I'm gonna put this thing all back together. Well, I'm gonna put it back together enough to pull start it, make sure it runs, and then we'll put it back together. We'll see if we can ride it. Okay, where are we now? Got the thing put back together. I asked myself, what would Larry do? And he told me to send it. So, here we go. I'm going to give it a little bit of assistance. Wow. Gasoline everywhere. Here goes nothing. Well, it looks like there's still too much throttle happening here. It was going like 25 miles an hour sitting here. But it ran, so that's progress. I guess I'll see if I can get that throttle to come down a little bit. Or I'll just pull on the cable with my hand and take this thing for a spin. As you guys can see, it's a little smokier than the last time I saw you, but I figured something out. I ended up taking the top of the carb off, pulling the slide out, pulling the cable out, taking the lock nut off of the cable, putting it back in the top of the carb, putting everything back together, and that gives me enough slack in the cable to have even a little bit of free play right there on the throttle lever, and it returns and everything's cool. I just had it running in here a little bit and it seems to be holding idle like you think it would, and it revs pretty good. It's like it's right there. So the Mikuni did the old trick on this thing. I think it's time to take it outside. think I bottomed out. Apparently I have no idea how to ride one of these things. I got it stuck like immediately. Bottomed out. Won't go. Guess I slowed down too fast or something. But I'm sick of it. Well, it might be a bit of a disappointment for you, but I'm done for the day. I really don't want to deal with yanking this thing out of the yard right now. I think it looks nice sitting right there. So this might be tomorrow's project, but call this a revival video plus, and the plus was I drove it 30 feet. Anyway guys, I appreciate you watching this stuff. Stick around for more, and thanks for watching. Hit subscribe, hit like if you liked it. I'll catch you guys next time. Oh boy.